It is getting well-deserved attention right now, honestly. Yeah, so I like that.
Mhm.
So tell me some about some of your favorite artists. Maybe you can recommend some of them to us, your favorites.
Mm, my favorites. Okay. I love Burna Boy. I love Burna Boy's music.
Burna Boy.
Is another yes, Burna Boy is a mainstream Afrobeat artist. I used to like Wizkid's music. The latest release, I'm not really in love with it. Unlike in 2020, in unlike his last album, I've forgotten the name. I think it's Sound Man or something like that. Amazing. I really liked that one. And then his first album that had Holla at Your Boy. Then which other artists do I really like? Those are my two. Then when I really want to relax, I love Damian Marley. Like I love his
Oh,
song. I love the sound. Yeah.
nice.
So yeah, those are the guys that I really like currently.
Very nice. If you don't mind, put that in the chat for me. I'd like to take a copy and paste of that. So when I repeat it back in the live tomorrow, that people, because I know they're going to ask me for it and I won't be able to remember
Okay.
all of that. So if you put that in the chat for me, that would be awesome. Yeah.
Sure. So
Oh, you did. Okay, look at you. I like that. Look at. So yeah, that's very, I'll copy and paste that. So this music really feels good right now. I like it. I like it a lot.
mm-hmm, I do.
I do. So tell me, so now that we're kind of like getting warm, I feel somewhat, more cozy because I have a cup of tea in my hand. I know it's what, 8 o'clock over there? Tell me what time it is in
Yes.
Nigeria.
It's actually 8 o'clock, 3 minutes after eight.
Oh, wow. So we really have to give you a big round of applause for taking the time to come on to Healing of the Heart podcast. And I have quite a few listeners on Healing of the Heart podcast. I mean, we have quite a bit of downloads every day, every week. People are constantly joining this podcast. I mean, people listen all over the world to this podcast. The last time I looked, we had people in the Philippines and China who listen to this podcast. So let me just tell you that,
Wow.
yeah, a lot of people listen to this podcast. So I really appreciate you being on the podcast and sharing with us your life and how you can help other women, because that's really what it's
Hmm.
about. I mean,
Yes.
history is replete with information that lets us know that from the beginning of time, women, particularly women of color, we've always had it much harder. Always.
Hmm.
Always.
Definitely.
You know, and that is still the same. We're on the same course, it seems like, but while we're on this course, I'm sure we have some, what I call the exception, right? Because most of our,
Hmm.
our narratives, most of our dominant storylines, they're very negative in the women of history of women. But we have some exceptions along the way, historically and even present day, like yourself. And so, if you don't mind, I just want to take a few minutes now, just to kind of give you space to just introduce us to you. Tell us who you are. I mean, I do have your bio, but I think it's so kind of, I don't know, kind of like programmatic to read that stuff. So
Hmm.
if you can just basically kind of introduce yourself to us and tell us who you are, that would be awesome.
Definitely. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Chichi Arinze. I'm the founder of Autogirl Limited. Autogirl Limited is a digital vehicle leasing platform that helps people move from point A to point B in Africa. What makes us special is that we help people in Africa monetize their vehicles on our platform and in turn rent it out to people that needs, reliable and efficient mobility. While doing this, we also support women by making sure that women are empowered to enter into the automotive industry, which is actually one of the most male dominated industries. So we basically train women to learn how to earn in the automotive industry. And that's our CSR part. But majorly what we do is we rent vehicles and we help people monetize their vehicles. So I am a lawyer by profession, but
Nice,
I no
nice,
longer practice.
nice.
Yeah, yeah. But I no longer practice for now because of my project with Auto Girl. So that is really taking up all of my time. So that is all I'm focusing on right now. And yeah, that's me. Oh, about what I like, I love meeting people. I love swimming, and yeah, basically that. I love meeting people. I love swimming. I love listening to music, and I like watching funny movies. So yeah, that's me.
I love it. I love it. You said, listen, this podcast is only for an hour. I can talk to you for hours. I don't think this is going to be our first podcast. I don't think it's going to be it's our first. I don't think it's going to be our last, Chi Chi. It's not going to be our last podcast.
Definitely.
You
Sure, I'm available.
you said a lot of stuff right there that I want to talk about. But today we're going to talk about the topic is, women expressing creativity, developing their voice in the face of hardship.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
you talked about, several things that you like to do, personally.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, so we can talk, we can have another podcast. But then the part that I want to focus on is, your vocation then, which includes your
Mm-hmm.
passion. You mentioned that by vocation that you are a lawyer by
Yeah.
trade, right? And how
Yes.
perhaps that may have fit into, I'm curious how you got to that path, but I'm also curious about, how that weaved into, your company. So yeah, I really appreciate that introduction. I'm going to pause right now and just give you, just from a woman to another woman, I'm just going to give you a round of applause.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
just
you.
really excited about that. Yeah, so I'm
Thank you.
curious. So tell me about, listeners will be asking because when I play this recording back tomorrow, I'm gonna put
Mm-hmm.
some pauses in there and that kind of thing. So now's a good time to ask you. Yeah, I know I met you online and we're on
Mm-hmm.
each other's feed but there's something that drew me to you, and I'll share that piece. What drew me to number one, that you're a woman. Okay. And I looked at,
Nice.
and I'm sure you looked at my work and you see that I also
Yeah.
work and empower women. And so that's the draw for me to you. What was the draw for you to come onto this podcast? Not, I mean, I'm in America. I'm 8 hours ahead, behind you, and you're just signed to this podcast. I don't know what motivated you to come onto this podcast.
So the topic was, very, very interesting to me because I am always, about getting other women to, not be timid, to know that they have a place in the society and they can actually do like mind-blowing stuff. So when I saw the topic, I'm like, okay, yeah, I definitely would like to, be part of this and talk in this podcast and on that topic. So that's really, really what interested me. And then when I went through your page and saw all the other things you do and your posts on your different, series and every other thing, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is something I would like to be associated with. So yeah.
I appreciate that. And, I want to also add here that we have a lot of young listeners too. That's a big deal
Oh,
for me.
great,
We have a lot of
great.
emerging adults, okay? So in my
Mm,
practice, I work with women. That's all I do. The mission is
mm,
that we believe that every woman and girl deserves a positive self-esteem. Like I believe that
mm-hmm,
every fiber, like I get very worked up about it, okay? So every day, all I do is work with women and girls. And one of the things I see happening is that, we have young girls, we call them emerging adults. They're really having a tough time with their identity in our world
yeah.
today.
Mm-hmm,
They're having a tough time emerging, almost like, that caterpillar coming out of that cocoon. They have a hard time
mm-hmm,
transitioning and they have a hard time finding their place in this world. And so, as we're talking together, I just want you to remember that you and I were girls at one point and that we have young
mm-hmm,
girls listening and how we can really, help them to develop and find their voice, because that's what this podcast is about, right?
yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I
tell me.
think that's really important because, like you said, at a certain age, every decision you make actually, every decision you make actually breaks down to what your life is actually going to look like by the time you want to be relaxing, and what your future is going to look like. So at that stage, it's very important that they understand that, okay, there are certain decisions you can make. It's important that they also let go of any bias, because over here in Africa, and I think also all over the world, actually, not just Africa, in Middle East, in some even in America, some people are always think like that, okay, women are kind of like second class citizens, or women cannot achieve a lot of things, or women are just meant to be at home and all of those kind of things. And I'm really happy that you're helping a lot of young women understand that no, there's a lot more that you can do, there's a lot more that they can achieve. So if I only pass on that message to these young girls, I am definitely fulfilled that there's a lot more you can do and you can achieve anything that you decide to achieve.
Wow. Tell me, maybe would it be okay to ask you, as you reflect, in this moment, you're a woman now, but maybe for right now, as we're talking about emerging adults and young girls, I think it's so appropriate then. What examples can you give about perhaps how, examples or events in your life that shaped where you are today? Maybe you had some hardships as a young girl. I don't know, what is that? Because sometimes I tell you what, some of the
Mm-hmm.
girls, when they look on social media, we see everything as glamorous and, like immediate kind of thing, but it's almost like they're not able to relate to where they are in their present development and perhaps struggles, right? So I'm asking you to perhaps share what you just to kind of reinforce what you just said or even expand on what you just said. What did you do when you were growing up, maybe adolescent years, teenage years, when perhaps you're thinking about your future? What did that look like for you? How did you feel back then?
Okay. So when I entered into university, I grew up with a fairly rich home. But when I entered into university, my family's income kind of like reduced like drastically. So I had to figure out, ways to like, earn money and all of those things. And of course, as a lady, the first thing that will come to your mind due to like, the whole socialization and everything is, oh, a guy, let me date someone rich and let him be giving me the money and all of that. But I got to find out that that would only tie you down to people that and might not even be worth, your presence or worth a relationship with you. And then I started thinking of, okay, how can I get this money for myself? Like there should be ways for me to be able to make money. And I found my paths in what I do by looking through my hobbies. What do I like? And I absolutely love cars. I live for cars. So when I
Really?
thought about, okay, what lines, I absolutely
Wow.
love cars. I
Yes.
absolutely love cars. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I thought about the best thing for me to do to make money, it just had to be cars. So yeah, so it's been fun. And that's basically how I advise anybody to that would be in that kind of situation to look at things.
Wow. So you're saying that basically take a look at the things that, I don't know, feels good to you in terms of passion, in terms of
Exactly.
future, in terms of what you can actually do, right? That's meaningful
Mm-hmm.
to you. I think it's important for these young women to hear that, because again, when they look into social media and maybe even looking at other girls, this definite comparison really is,
Of
it's
course.
almost like it's just very destructive.
Mm-hmm.
Now you
Yeah.
talk about success. How would you define success for you? Because again, looking at adolescent years, I mean, that changes over time. But the one thing that you said
Mm-hmm.
you love was cars. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What examples can you give, or maybe how did you define success versus now, then and now, in terms of, developing your voice and, expressing your creativity?
Okay, so before I just felt like there's certain amount I had in my head, which now is infinitely smaller to me because I'm like, why was this a goal? That oh, if I had this amount of money, I am set and I'm successful. But right now, I'm looking at success in a very different way. Money can be made and be lost at any time, and of course, I'm not saying that money is not important; it's extremely important. But right now I'm seeing that, oh, the relationships I make, the relationships I keep, the kind of friends I have, the people that I am able to impact their lives, that they can say and point to me that, oh, at a certain time in my life, I didn't know what to do. And this was the person that helped me out. The women I have been able to, show how to earn money in the automotive industry, having like maybe 50,000 or 10,000 of those women know my name and say, oh, this person actually helped me,
Wow.
start earning money would
Wow.
really, would be success for me. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I mean, I'm really listening to you and I'm like, wow. Well then, so success is different, right? As we grow over time.
Yes.
That makes sense. But then, okay,
Yes.
that's true. Success changes over time. But nonetheless, we still face, different hurdles while we're trying to figure that stuff out. Yes or no?
Mm-hmm. Very
Right.
true.
So,
Definitely.
so then as
Yeah.
a woman, what are some hurdles that you have faced? Maybe what are some doors that have been closed in your face as you're trying to find yourself and find your own success and develop your voice? That's really important for us to hear.
Well, Um, as a woman, when I started in the automotive industry, I faced a lot of dealers feeling like, oh, they could scam me and get away with it, or a lot of people that didn't want to, pay up their commissions. And I know that when it comes to dealing with a guy, they would deal with it very differently. But luckily, with experience, all of those things faded off. By the time they started knowing that, okay, this person is here to do business and is serious about doing business, is not here to do business for a month or two, like she is building a name in the automotive industry. So they got to understand that, okay, it's not business as usual, and I've not been having that issue anymore.
Oh, so you're saying that. So how would you describe that kind of difficulty you had? Would you say that was cultural? Would you say that was legal? What kind of how would you categorize or describe the kind of hurdles that you just spoke about? What would you say they are?
I think it's basically because of the patriarchal world that we live in.
Yes. Can you speak some
Yeah,
more
I
about
think
that? Hmm.
Yeah, and so I think it's basically because of the, patriarchal world that we live in. We live in such a patriarchal society, and a lot of men can see a lady trying to do business as maybe wasting her time or not being serious or not knowing what she's doing. That's the most important. That's the most popular one. They always feel like, okay, the lady does not know what she's doing. I can, bypass and all of that. So yeah, that's it.
How did you
But
work
if
through
you are
that?
able to show, yeah,
Yes.
exactly, that's what I was going to. So if you're able to show that, yes, you do know what you're doing and you actually know what you're doing, because a lot of people are just trying to make money, both male and female, trying to make money without an idea of what they're doing or without a good grasp or expertise of what you're doing. And
Uh,
as a woman, even though it's not fair, but when you're doing something, people always expect you to have, to be knowledgeable, have some expertise in what you're doing, and expect you to have more expertise than they will normally scrutinize when it comes to a guy. So
yes.
knowing that fully well,
Mm-hmm.
you should always not make sure that you're not in a state of where people can actually say, oh my God, that person doesn't know what they are doing. Because
Aha.
normally when they look at you, that's the first thing they say. But imagine
Aha.
when they are thinking of that and what comes out of your mouth is like, oh my God, so much expertise, so much experience. Then they now, start to act right. But the first thing they'll think of normally when they see a woman, especially when it's not a female dominated industry, once they just see a lady in a male dominated industry, it's like, okay, what is this person doing? Does this person even know what she's doing?
Mm-hmm. Wow. So you're saying that, make sure, whatever industry we find ourselves, that we need to make sure, given we already know it's a patriarchal society. We already know that this
Mm-hmm.
is the case. Wow. That hasn't changed, right? Chi? That has not changed.
It's no, it hasn't, but I think it's getting better. I think in people before us fought for years, hundreds of years. Maybe I feel like we have like maybe 50 years more to fight to completely eradicate that. Yeah,
Mhm.
but I think it's getting better. No, it can't be gone in a century. Oh. It's going to take, our mothers, ancestors has been fighting for this right from time. So it's going to take some time. So if I'm saying we have 15 years left, that is optimistic, and that's optimistic.
Do you feel like you're part of this change? You feel like you're part of you feel like you're doing something? And what I'm asking is this: you found your voice. You found your voice in spite
Mm-hmm.
of this patriarchal system and setup and the systemic way of oppressing and repressing women. I mean, you know what? I mean, so you found your voice. So you
Mm.
still have more years to go. So you found your voice through your passion, through your hobby, what you love. So you're saying that's a
Mm-hmm.
big indicator to finding your voice. But while you're
Yeah.
doing that,
So
though, we're going to have these systemic things that we have to deal with. So yeah, we can feel that way and move in that direction. But you're saying be realistic. You're going to face these things, and that we have a little bit
mm.
more of a ways to go. What are you doing about that now? Do you feel like you're doing something by being a business owner? And if so, what else are you doing or you feel needs to happen to push this along?
Okay, so basically for now to help other women, find their voice and be doing something useful, and also try to eradicate the entire, patriarchal um system. That's why I basically took up our Auto Women Empowerment Program that basically trains women and teaches them on how to earn in the automotive industry.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah.
And so do you do this by yourself, or do you have a team, or how do you go? I mean, and I wonder if your education plays a part in this. If so, can you talk to us about that too?
Okay. Yes, I definitely have an amazing team. They are basically the ones that, make the work easier for me. Um, so you asked on that question.
Okay. What I was going to
You asked
ask
on
you.
that question. I didn't even hear I
Oh,
don't
oh,
remember
you
the
want me to
last
ask the
question.
question? So I'm asking, so I said, so, okay, so your part then, so you're finding your voice. And I'm saying you told us how you found your voice and how you
Yeah.
continue to fine tune your voice. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, what else are you doing? And you explained about, the inception of your company and the fact that you're training women. How
Mm-hmm.
do you recruit women? How are women finding you? And, maybe
Okay.
at this podcast, I'm thinking that somebody's listening and want to do exactly what you're doing, or
Mm-hmm.
they want to do, because my daughter, she loves cars. She's
Wow.
13, but she loves cars. Every Lego set she buys is a car thing, or some
Mm.
kind of plane, or something that she can work with her hands. She wants to be an anesthesiologist or maybe be a pilot, right? So she's very
Mm-hmm.
like, so she's a girl, but she likes that. So what I'm asking you, somebody might be listening, a teen, a woman who perhaps is transitioning to something else, I don't know. So how do women find you? Do you recruit women? Do you go, how are you changing this patriarchal system? How are you empowering women?
Hi. So how we empower women, we have different cohorts yearly. We have a team of
Oh,
about 20 women that comes in. We train them on different aspects. Some want to start driving on the Autogirl platform. We train
wow.
them to become drivers and they start earning reliable source of income.
Mhm.
Some also want to become affiliates and help us, promote our rentals offerings. We teach them how to do that, how to build a brand doing that, and then we pay them commissions. So that's basically how it works. But it's once a year. I'm hoping that with more funding, we can get more women on board on that plan and keep on growing the amount of people that we reach and the lives that we touch.
What are some feedback you're getting from women that you're training, and they're having this change in their lives? I mean, what are some outputs then? What are some outputs or evidence of what's happening with these women? What do you see and what are you hearing?
I mean, so I love when I hear women say that, oh, they've been able to sort out huge bills in their life due to the income that they are making from Autogirl. I have some women that have gone on to build their own brands
Oh,
and
wow.
win awards from our training. We have women like, from Purple Leisure. She has a brand. She started, with my platform, and now she has her own brand. I also have the drivers, most importantly, those ones they are able to sort out their lives, bills by driving on Autogirl platform. So it's really been nice for them. But for some of them, they also have like the women that drive. I've had issues with them complaining about some customers, especially the male customers, being rude or
Yes.
not thinking that they know how to drive. So what we do is we try to sensitize our customers to understand that they are both bad drivers that are females, and they are both bad drivers that are male, and they are both good drivers, great drivers that are female, and they are also great drivers that are male. So they should not that word now. They should not judge a good driver by their by their sex or by their gender. A good driver is a good driver regardless of their gender.
Exactly. Exactly. So they're basing a woman's ability to drive based on her gender and her sex. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We've
Oh,
seen that
wow.
happen several times.
Oh wow. That's it. That's a whole nother topic. Oh my goodness. Okay. That's a whole nother topic. You know what? I'm almost finished for now, but I don't know. What other message did you want to kind of give to women and girls listening today? In fact, before you answer that question, I'm thinking about perhaps some of, you know, in your hardship and trying to develop your voice, did you find that you had any mental health impacts? Did you have any emotional, setbacks as a result of trying to find your place in this world? I know in times in my life where, working with women or trying to find my voice, I have been in that space. And I don't think any one of us are
Mm.
exempt from that. So I wonder, what's your take on that?
Yeah, 100%. Even building a brand in Africa is going to take some toll on your mental health. But one thing I do is I always take out time for myself. I take out time for myself. I drop my phone. I go to the beach. I relax. I relax and, get off work. So that's how I've been able to, manage the entire mental stress. I know it might still need some more work, but for now, that's how I've been, coping with the mental stress.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, you know what? I tell you what, Chinazom, I want to thank you for today and thank you for, teaching us about, how to continue to find our voice, how to develop our voice, but also adding a personal touch to that, sharing parts of your story in terms of maybe where you've struggled and, and what you've done to actually push through. And again, as I said to you before, this is our first podcast, but I get the feeling that we're going to have another one. And I'm hoping that we can build in our relationship and perhaps inspire women on this side to have automotive companies on this side and show them that, yeah, in Lagos, Nigeria, we're doing it. And over here, you can do that too. So I thank you. And I don't know if you have any more parting words for us. Let us know.
For me, my parting words would be for the young women that are listening to this podcast. And I'm basically just letting you know that, okay, I'm basically just letting you know that you can do anything you set your mind on. Like some dreams can look so big and so unachievable, but trust me, if you break it down to tasks and you start doing it, regardless of whether you think it's going to work or not, then you will just start seeing progress a day at a time. Rome is not built in one day. But by the time you start, if it's to start a business, you can just start by opening the Instagram accounts first and posting one post. That is the start. So, but just start, and
Wow.
starting is important. Yeah.
Wow. I love how you just said that. Starting, making one post, doing one